All right, first and foremost, apologies for my tardiness. 27 minutes behind the originally scheduled start time. So apologies there. I don't know what happened with our lunch hour live stream earlier today. It's the 12th of January, Sarah's return, and something happened on the back end of YouTube. So literally the last hour or so I've been working on trying to get that re-uploaded. I was successful in doing so. Apologies about that. If you were one of those that reached out to us, thank you. And just know after we finish up here, maybe you go pop over there to see what see what you missed, just in case you missed watching us in real time live earlier today. So with that, appreciate you guys for being with me tonight. It is January 12th. Steelers and Texans are currently underway in Pittsburgh in the final wild card round weekend game. And man, it was certainly did not disappoint whatsoever. So we'll see if some of you guys choose to multitask tonight. A little bit of YouTube in front of you, maybe the game on in the background in mute. So we'll have to see. Appreciate you guys for being here. As always, it's brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group. And there is a poll if you'd like to add your 2 cents in to what I've done, which is essentially a top 3. What's your top 3 preference for the trios that you see in the live chat? 3 different combinations. Curious to get your thoughts as we approach 100 votes early on in that process. Is it Jesse Minter, Clint Kubiak, Brian Flores, 1, 2, 3? Meaning not the staff, but what's your preference for head coach candidacy? Is it Jesse Minter, Clint Kubiak, Flores? That's the 31% here early. Clint Kubiak, Robert Saleh, Jesse Minter at 31%. So those 2 lockstep to start. Brian Flores, Clint Kubiak, Anthony Weaver at 24%. Robert Saleh, Brian Flores, Jesse Minter at 14%. The caboose as we begin tonight's program. Appreciate you guys for being with me, and it will be a momentous afternoon tomorrow after the vault finishes up. 2 o'clock, 1 winning drive. It'll be broadcast, and I'm sure simulcasted across all Ravens social media platforms. It's Steve Bisciotti. It's Eric DaCosta. And for the first time since 2018, the Ravens owner will be in that kind of setting to conduct a press conference, answer questions, and we'll see how much we actually learn coming up tomorrow. I'll go live, obviously, as always, immediately afterwards. The collective will be on at 8 o'clock. The vault will be on at 12 noon, and I'll be in between those. Needless to say, there is a lot on deck tomorrow in what will become back-to-back insane Tuesdays. Because remember, a week tomorrow is when John Harbaugh's news came down the pike, and the Ravens, of course, made their announcement along with all the other reports out there that John Harbaugh's tenure in Baltimore was coming down to an end. In terms of off-season dates coming up, as you set your calendar accordingly, the scouting combine, I'm looking forward to finalizing my plans in Indianapolis coming up next month, February 23rd to March 2nd. That's where obviously prospects to send on to Indy for testing purposes, interview purposes, everything else in between. Franchise tag deadline is set for March 3rd. Free agency opens up March 11th. Same day, I should say, that the new league year begins. The annual league meeting, typically down in Florida, is March 29th to April 1st, and so on and so forth, with a bunch of the rookie mini camps and NFL draft, of course, being in April. You name it, off-season programs. This is all coming up in the months ahead. But obviously, first and foremost, the Ravens have a pretty significant order of business to take care of, and that is hiring their next head coach. And the 15th candidate, count them, 15th candidate, came down the pike earlier when Tom Pelissero noted that Jim Schwartz has been requested to interview. He's, of course, the Browns defensive coordinator, a Baltimore native at heart, went to high school at Mount St. Joseph, originally born in Hillthorpe. He'll turn 60 coming up this June. And the guy's got a ton of experience all throughout the National Football League, including previous head coaching experience in Detroit. Didn't go well for him from 2009 to 2013. He was 29-51, including 0-1 winless in the postseason. but he is a really, really intriguing defensive mind. And obviously, knowing that the Ravens have gotten to be awfully familiar with him over the last several years during his time in Cleveland, they're going to give him a look. Don't know if this is actually a legit candidacy for head coach, but you know what? They're casting a wide net for a reason. And as we spoke about on the vault earlier today, what what like what isn't beneficial speaking to these candidates? It's a way of assessing yourself. It's a way of evaluating yourself. Every single one of these candidates, whether it be virtual or in person, obviously comes prepared to a certain degree with analysis of your team and how they would come in and take it by storm and take over and succeed John Harbaugh. And maybe, just maybe, some of these candidates have a chance of being with the Ravens in a non-head coach role. So really, it doesn't hinder anything. More so than anything else, it helps. It helps the organization. It helps Steve Bisciotti and this hiring team to ultimately make their best decision. And they're already north, candidates-wise, of where they were 3 years ago when they were looking for Greg Roman's successor. They spoke to 14 different candidates before landing on Todd Monken, 21 different interviews. And because of Jim Schwartz and what that Cleveland Browns defense has been, it's intriguing. That's what I think it is. It's intriguing, especially when you got Jimmy Smith, the great Jimmy Smith, former Super Bowl champ, former Raven, coming on the vault as he did at the end of last week, giving a blunt assessment in terms of what he feels like the state of this Ravens defense is at this current moment.
I feel like I'll just bluntly say, I feel like our front seven was just dogs. We had D linemen and linebackers, and that was kind of our calling card, was that our front seven were such dogs that, we can have one corner, a couple of safety, and then plug and play other people. I think we're heavy in the back end with money on corners and all that, and we haven't invested enough up front to kind of take over those games, those games that we keep dropping and where we don't get a sack and we're not putting pressure on, and we face teams that offense is not good and we're not exposing them. So it just felt like the team, and I would say underachieved a little bit, but at the same time, I don't feel like they have all the necessary pieces to be a great defense.
You felt like that coming into the season, or as
Yeah.
it kind of
I mean, I didn't know who I still don't know who our DN is, our guy who gets sacks. Like, I want, like, we missed that. We've been missing it for a little while. Like, since Suggs, really. Like, a guy that can go get a sack, get a strip fumble. We haven't had that in a while. I mean, we got, guys that come in and we go to the vet market and get some older guys, and they come and have literally always come have a career year. That's 10 sacks or 9 sacks for Kyle Van Noy, whatever it may be, and they're having these good years. But that consistent dominance from a player like a Myles Garrett or like Joey Bosa in the early days, like that type of player, we haven't seen that in a little while. We need that kind of that's the calling card of Ravens defense, is how good our linebackers and our front's been, and they dictate and run games. And I think this year we lost it in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and we're kind of heavy in the back end with our money.
Boy, you guys are awfully tough in the live chat. You know that? You're not even going to give me a chance to set up what I know is something that I've used several times since Friday, but there's a reason. So just hang tight if you could. I know there's some multitask watching going on tonight, knowing that this Steelers-Texans game is just kicking off. But here's why I'm going in this direction. That's not the only clip that I wanted to revisit. This is setting up a part of a bigger conversation that, even despite knowing that the Ravens playmakers, Mark Andrews, Tyler Loop this year, Zay Flowers, Lamar Jackson, have come up short in high leverage moments over the years when it matters most in the postseason. That's a fact. But I think the greater issue is what Jimmy's getting at here. And without saying it as bluntly as he probably could have, which it was still pretty blunt, the Ravens lack dogs. And Jimmy was a part of the heyday of dogs in Baltimore. He said it himself. Quote, when I first got here, I'll just bluntly say it. I feel like our front seven was just dogs. We had D linemen and linebackers, and that was kind of our calling card. We haven't invested enough up front to take over those games. It felt like the team underachieved a little bit, but at the same time, I don't feel like they had all the necessary pieces to be a great defense. I still don't know who our D end is, our guy who gets sacks. We miss that. We need that. That's the calling card of a Ravens defense, is how good our linebackers and our front's been. They dictate run games. I think this year we lost it in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and we're kind of heavy on the back end with our money. When you couple that with things that we watched unfold late last night in Foxborough, and yes, it was in a losing effort to no fault of the Chargers defense, Odafe Owe, Jesse Minter and company, it begs the question, not only what's going on in the personnel department in Baltimore, but hey, over the last couple of years, what's going on in the developmental department? And I get it. Prior to this season, they were up there, top 2, top 3, top 1 in 23 in terms of overall sacks. But we know that that's disappeared and not been a factor, a game-changing factor at that, in the month of January. And if it's really all for naught when that's the case. So Odafe Owe becomes the latest Matthew Judon, if you will, who went on to have a tremendous amount of success in New England, got paid and paid handsomely in free agency, as the Ravens kind of stuck with what's become their mantra over the years. At some positions, they've decided to kind of moneyball it. We've seen that with the offensive line. We spoke about that at length inside the collective in recent weeks. Cole will talk about that to anybody who will listen, and he should, because they did moneyball the guard position, and they got what they deserved, unfortunately. Odafe Owe, they let walk in a trade deadline acquisition in November. Yes, Alohi Gilman was an important piece to the puzzle and perhaps will factor into their 2026 and beyond plans. But Odafe Owe did not record. Yeah, he recorded some pressure in those first several weeks in Baltimore this season, but not one sack. Guys, he went on a tear as a member of the Chargers post-acquisition, and that included a postseason performance last night with 3 sacks. That's a franchise record for the Chargers in the postseason. 4 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and this Chargers fan account wants to pay him and bring him back. I'm sure that's something that a lot of us thought maybe we would be saying, or you in the fandom space would be saying several months ago as we were predicting certain playmakers, trying to foresee who would become that guy this year. And we knew that it was a contract year for Odafe. Little did we know he'd be going to do what a lot of us predicted maybe he would accomplish in Baltimore elsewhere. And that's exactly what he did down the second half stretch of this season for Jesse, Jim Harbaugh, and the Chargers. And Ben Solak, perhaps sharing a sentiment felt by some of you out there. Odafe playing his best ball in the AFC playoffs while the Ravens watch from home looking for a new head coach. That is tough. Something that's also tough is for these two to be on this kind of list. I know, I've shared it with you. Shelly's not happy with me. She does not like the recycling of content. And Shelly, thank you. You're my auntie. Auntie or auntie? I'm going to get to that, by the way. Lynn Jones, by the way, the auntie of them all after yesterday in Jacksonville, that post-game press conference setting. We might have to get to that in just a bit. Shelly, you're giving me that energy right now, and you keep bringing it. Keep bringing it, because you never miss an episode, and I can take it. I can take it. Humphrey and Wiggins, 1-2 respectively, as we've spoken about. And again, I'm setting this up strategically. No other defensive players allowed more yards in coverage in 2025. But Jimmy, having been in their shoes before, right, as a defensive back, spoke about how it starts up front. And while these numbers that you see on the screen aren't great, and there was certainly technique deficiencies, i.e. the Green Bay game, there needs to be a nuanced conversation in terms of what went wrong for the Ravens this year and how there was a trickle-down effect amongst all 3 levels, beginning up front. More from Jimmy in our conversation on Friday.
Cover, you got good cover guys. It gives the rush an extra second, and vice versa. You got some good pass rushers. You're throwing that ball quicker. I mean, Marlon makes plays. He's always made plays. This year, just like I said, those long developing plays. Once you get a little bit, what they say, you get a little blood in the water. They see him get beat on one fade. They're like, hey, we'll just keep trying it until it doesn't work. And I felt like a couple of games opened up, like showed a little chink in their armor, if you will, and made other teams realize, hey, these guys, we can probably start doing longer plays because they ain't got no pass rush. They're not getting to us. If they blitz us, we can hit them quick. And that's what it kind of felt like. Every team was hitting us with the most basic stuff, and we were getting beat by it. Especially the flat route, just dumping it to the flat, scoring on 25. Like those are just blowing my mind. But that's communication. But it's also just the veteran leadership. Those things need to be covered. Like those are, the most simplest of things that we were getting beat by. So that's a lack of detail. It's a lack of attention to a certain degree to me.
And maybe you guys remember having watched, you're probably watching the game going on right now, and those flat routes, those dump offs, those check downs, the dink and dunk game with no DK Metcalf. I mean, what's today's Monday? So 8 days ago, that's how Pittsburgh beat the Ravens in a lot of ways. That's how they moved the ball on the Ravens. And I think Jimmy gets at an important note. It wasn't rocket science that beat the Ravens this year. It was a lack of personnel in some cases. It was a lack of physicality early on in the year through the first 5 or 6 weeks on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, injuries played a part. Certainly Nnamdi Madubuike needs to be brought into that discussion when it comes to the interior part and the pressure or lack thereof that they were able to get from a pass rush standpoint, whether it was on the edge or in the interior. And, moving forward, there has to be a marriage. There has to be a correlation between rushing coverage. And you didn't see that a lot defensively this year. Kobe Pruitt writes, Flores and Saleh are the only answer. Culture setters and their counterparts on the offensive side will be a more established coach because of their connections. KP making his vote and voice heard tonight. Speaking of voices, let's check in with you guys as we approach 200 votes in our live chat. And the poll tonight is, which of these trios is your top 3 preference? Your top 3 preference for Baltimore's next head coach. Leading the way is the trio. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3 in terms of your preference. Jesse Minter, Clint Kubiak, Brian Flores leads the way at 35%. 30% of you say Clint Kubiak, Robert Saleh, Jesse Minter. 23% of you say Brian Flores, Clint Kubiak, Anthony Weaver. And 12% say Robert Saleh, Brian Flores, and Jesse Minter. So that's where things stand with our poll. The Ravens now have 7 total interviews conducted and that they've confirmed. The latest, Clint Kingsbury, as of earlier this morning. When I say Clint, it's Cliff Kingsbury. And of course, Anthony Weaver, the former Ravens assistant, the former player. He was let go by the Miami Dolphins just a week ago when ultimately Mike McDaniel lost his job and was relieved of his duties. So 7 total interviews have been conducted. Again, we're up to 15 total candidates, and that, of course, resulted in a updated graphic. Just in case, take a look. Just in case you haven't been paying attention, the graphic has a new image. Jim Schwartz, like we mentioned off the top. So Chris Shula and Nate Scheelhaus in LA. The Ravens will have a chance to speak to both of them with a 3-day buffer, meaning tomorrow, since the Rams beat the Panthers on Saturday in the wild card round. Matt Nagy, one of the 7 that have been complete. Mike McDaniel, they've requested. Joe Brady, requested. Clint Kubiak, completed. Anthony Weaver, completed. Jesse Minter, requested. Robert Saleh, requested. Steve Bisciotti, no, he's leading the search. Jim Schwartz, requested. Davis Webb, completed. Cliff, completed as of this morning. Vance Joseph, completed over the weekend. Brian Flores, requested. And Kevin Stefanski, completed. So that's where things stand in terms of the graphic, in terms of overall where the Ravens are in the midst of their search process. KP writes, how does Cliff Kingsbury keep failing upwards? What do you mean by that? The fact that he's getting opportunities to interview? Is that what you mean, KP? I'll go back to and defer to Kevin Sheehan, who we had on at the end of last week as it relates to Cliff, and maybe what's not been covered as much as it relates to his 2 years, but most importantly, what happened this year with no Jaden Daniels. Because remember, this time last year, the Commanders, led by their rookie, were marching on to play in the NFC Championship game way ahead of schedule. So here's Kevin Sheehan, popular DC sports personality, on more nuance to the discussion as it relates to Cliff.
Injuries. They didn't have their starting quarterback this year. He played in basically 3 games out of 17, start to finish, completely healthy. Played in 4 games, start to finish in total, and participated in 7 of the 17. So when you lose your starting quarterback, and that starting quarterback is coming off the greatest rookie season in the history of the league, and he doesn't play, you're doomed from the start. And then they lost running back 1, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. They were without their starting guard, Sam Cosmi, who has been a Pro Bowler for the first 6 weeks of the season. The team was absolutely decimated with injuries, both sides of the ball. It was carnage, really all season long. And that's the biggest explanation for 5-12. What's interesting, Bobby, is that the offense, without its starting quarterback, and then playing backup, and then the third stringer for 2.5 games, Josh Johnson finished up the season. They actually finished pretty high in a lot of offensive categories. 4th in red zone offense in the entire league, 4th without their, key players, especially at the skill position spots. They were the 4th leading rushing team. They were 12th in yards per play. They were basically top half of the league, worst case, in every advanced or traditional statistical category. I personally think Cliff got so much more out of less this year. In some ways, this year was more impressive than last year, because last year he had Jaden Daniels healthy for not just, 17 regular season, but 3 playoff games, so 20 in total. And the quarterback was sensational. I think whoever gets Cliff Kingsbury is getting a really good offensive mind. I really do.
One perspective there, Kevin Sheehan, DC, popular DC sports personality that came on the show last week. Here's another one, ESPN reporter John Keim.
Terms? Like, was it one of those deals where it's like,
there's a reason he's not there.
There is. Yeah. And Dan Quinn wanted a certain philosophy, and that did not mesh with Kingsbury's.
Mm-hmm.
So
did it get personal, though, by the end?
I guess it would depend who you talk to and what the agendas are.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that. So, but with this one, it was the thing that I heard from numerous people was there was a difference in philosophy and how they saw the offense now and then in the future. And that was as much with Quinn. Now, does Quinn alone make these decisions? I don't think anything over there is one person making a decision.
Mm-hmm.
More nuance, more perspective. ESPN reporter John Keim looked to be a philosophical disconnect between Cliff Kingsbury and head coach of the Commanders, Dan Quinn. So after 2 years, he departs. Of course, he's several years removed from being a failed head coach with the Arizona Cardinals. Cliff has a very decorated resume in the college ranks as well. But in terms of the NFL, he's 28, 38, and 1. And actually, when you look at his overall NCAA record, collegiately speaking, he's also below 500 in that category as well. So, I think in terms of, what he's been able to do overall, it's an attractive name, and it's a bright offensive mind who has previous head coaching experience at both the collegiate and pro level. And so if nothing else, if you're Steve Bisciotti, if you're Eric DeCosta, if you're Ozzie, if you're Sashi Brown, get somebody like that in your building. He's a free agent. You can bring him in person. I assume that's what it was this morning, an in-person interview. And again, it's an opportunity for assessment. It's an opportunity for evaluation. And who knows? Like, what if the staff ends up, whoever they hire at the top, when it's all said and done, who's to say that Cliff isn't the offensive coordinator next year? Like, just because they're talking to 15 candidates for their head coach role doesn't necessarily mean that each candidate's the best fit for that specific role. Maybe they end up as part of a staff in another way. We'll have to see. Let's see here. I see the live chat is reacting accordingly as per usual. Steelers are up 3-0 in the waning minute here of the opening quarter in Pittsburgh. Another super chat before we get to the guest lines. KP weighing in. The only coach with a better PR machine than Harbaugh in the NFL right now is Cliff Kingsbury. He's had one good year in the pros and wasn't great at Texas Tech. Maybe not overall results, but guy knows how to run an offense. Certainly. On paper. Hasn't always led to wins, as I just mentioned. He's a below 500 coach, all things considered. At both levels, below 500. It's hard to win, man. It's hard to win. Troy, I don't know how this just got up on the screen, but he says, do y'all think we should draft a guard or pass rusher in the first round? Troy's already looking at the 14th overall pick in 2026 of April. How about it? Take a close look. I still cannot believe I have a wedding that I'm in. A wedding that I'm in on day 2 of the draft. So that's going to be interesting coming after our marathon that we always do on opening night. Should be very interesting. Internet Zone says, Bobby, I'm thinking about how much football information they're getting from these guys during the interviews also. Man, can you imagine? Like, think about that. Think about when it's all said and done, they're going to have 15 or more, at least 15 candidates in their building or speaking to via Zoom that to a certain level have prepared for them. I'd be all ears if I was a part of that hiring search. Hell yeah. Evan, I forgot that maybe I knew this. I mean, I knew you were engaged, but I didn't know that your wedding, and maybe you mentioned it early on in the process, but I didn't realize that your wedding is opening night of the draft. That's crazy. So you feel the pain. Well, you're not going to be in pain that night, but well, maybe later on after the reception. A different kind of pain though. And I'm not talking about, okay. That'll be taken out of context. But no, I'm going to be in pain. I am very excited about the opportunity to be in one of my best friend's wedding. I'll be giving the best man speech. But day 2, do the Ravens not have like 10 plus picks between day 3 and day 2 and day 3? So, Evan says this Thursday. Okay, hold on. I need context on that. Okay, now he's saying it's just a courthouse. I got to get out of the live chat because I'm having a hard time remaining with my train of thought here. I also got to get a read in. But first, let's go to the guest lines. These guys have been waiting. Richard, welcome to the program. I'm going to slap a 60-second on you tonight because I want to watch this game. And quite frankly, based on viewership, a lot of people are watching this game. And I know I probably should have been on earlier, but I had that issue with the Vault YouTube. So my bad there. But what's going on tonight?
Nothing much, Bobby. I would just say, I think at this point, I would say I trust Steve Bisciotti a lot more than I was going at the tail end of the season. I mean, the fact of the matter is he did what he needed to be done, and he got rid of our ball, which is what, a lot of us have been asking for years. At this point, whoever he picks as head coach, I mean, to be honest, I feel pretty secure of whoever he decides to do. Do I think he's going to do Stefanski? Probably not. That's not really my super high on my list. But I would say there's not many people who I would have hard nose on. Even among the list of people that he's currently interviewing at the moment. I think right now you kind of see the trend that he's looking probably more towards seasoned coaches, folks who have experience. I think experience is experience. You learn from your mistakes as much as you do from your success. And so I think just gotta trust the process and see what happens. But I mean, at the end of the day, we still have Lamar, and whoever we bring in, hopefully they bring in a strong defensive mind, someone who can fix the other side of the ball. Because to be dead honest with you, that's really, I would say, the reason why we have not been having playoff success in the thick of things. I mean, I'm looking at this game right now. Pittsburgh's defense is keeping them in the game. So I mean, it's just proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, beginning of the second quarter, Pittsburgh's up 3-0. To your point, I mean, this is going to be, you get the sense this is going to be, errant snap there, fielded cleanly by Stroud, and then he gets hammered as he throws. Actually, it wasn't an errant snap. It just went right through his hands.
I think they're feeling it right now. They're getting pressure on the line. They tried that flea flicker, which was a complete fail. I mean, you win games by playing, mucking it up. And, I hope we can get back to that.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's obviously going to be a tough place to play. And CJ, in all crazy, I mean, big picture, CJ is still relatively young, maybe not compared to the Caleb Williams of the world who are in the postseason. But Houston's had some stinkers over the years in the postseason.
Caleb's young, but I mean, he came back from what?
We remember in the AFC Championship year, they put a licking on Houston.
They did, but that didn't happen until the second quarter. Or no, I'm sorry, second half.
Happened until the second half, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
I remember that game. I was nervous. I was there. It was cold as fuck.
Was it that day? Yeah.
It was cold, man. Getting out of the car, my eyelashes were frozen.
You've put yourself through a few tailgates, few game day experiences. Thanks for the call tonight, brother. Appreciate you.
Yep. Have a good one.
Thank you guys for being with me tonight as well. Again, for those of you that are inquiring, you've tweeted, you've texted, you've messaged us in the Discord group. For some reason, there was a back-end error on the Vault's lunch hour stream earlier today. So that was the reasoning for my tardiness on tonight's show, one. And two, the reason why a 2-hour show ended up popping up as 4 seconds at one point. So apologies there. It has been re-uploaded for those of you that want to go check that out after we're finished up tonight. Clinton writes, I don't know who the next head coach will be, but they got to bring two things, toughness and attitude. I want to know who brings that. I think we all do. Kobe writes, A.J. Brown for a third. Team needs an X still. You'd be signing up for the A.J. Brown experience, KP. Boy, oh boy. Just ask Philadelphia about said experience. Tumultuous doesn't even begin to describe it. And I love Tom Brady, and I think he's really made a leap this year in the booth, particularly when you compare him to Tony Romo's year, which was not in the court of public opinion online, not a very successful year for CBS and Tony Romo. But the reason why I bring it up is the sideline exchange last night between Sirianni and AJ. Tom is on the background trying to make sense of, what he's watching unfold. And he's like, these guys love each other. They got a great relationship. It's competitive spirit. And it's like, I guess you have to say that on the national broadcast, but I'm like, Tom, are we just going to completely ignore and not acknowledge the state of their relationship and the track record, this behavioral trend? They've been nothing short of water and oil over the last couple of years, which has led to a lot of winning, but they go home early, one and done this year, the reigning Super Bowl champs. Isaiah, what's going on, brother? Besides Bill Belichick with the GOAT, a defensive head coach hasn't won a Super Bowl in like 15 years. You can still have a great defense like the Legion of Boom. The league has evolved. Offense is the way to go. Isaiah making it clear where he's at in terms of his preference for candidacy. 34% of you, as we go north of 200 votes, have a top 3 trio preference for head coaches as Jesse Minter, Clint Kubiak, Brian Flores as 1, 2, 3. Another super chat. Shimmy Boy says, past 10 Super Bowl wins, 8 were offensive minded. So Isaiah and Shimmy kind of on the same page there in terms of the trend. Yes, the league has certainly went in that direction, but I know the team that I've covered the last 8 years or so and followed for a long time, who's been around for about as old as I am, 30, 31 years, was established on the other side of the ball. Now, with that said, 96 is 96, 2000 is 2000, 26 years ago, 2012, over a decade ago. I get it. It's been a long time. It has, and things change, and you have to evolve and adapt. Something that I thought that John Harbaugh did well, maybe not in terms of the postseason success and record since the Super Bowl, but he did adapt. And I do think that he cultivated a hiring process in Baltimore that maybe hasn't gone on to the success, so to speak, or notoriety that trees like the McVay, Shanahan, so on and so forth have blossomed into. But it is still something. And Mike McDonald certainly is at the top of that list. And in 2023, that entire staff, for the most part, was poached. So, look, more so than anything else when it comes to this whole comparison game that we're going to continue to play throughout this ongoing search, is it offensive minded or is it defensive minded? How about leadership minded? How about culture minded? How about reset minded? Coaching matters. Take a look at example A, B, and C in no specific order. Mike Vrabel in New England, Ben Johnson in Chicago, and Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. And I got to talk about this before I get back to the guest line because this has taken the internet by storm.
Lynn Jones, Jacksonville Free Press News. I just want to tell you congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank you.
You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
And you did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you
it.
just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lynn Jones, longtime media member in the Jacksonville area. Lynn, I think it's like 25, 30 years, had that exchange last night. And it's not really an exchange. It's an offer of encouragement, of kindness. It's set the internet ablaze, as I'm sure you've seen. It's set the journalism community ablaze. Why, you ask? Technically, by rule, by definition, if you will, when it comes to the job of a beat reporter, let's call it. Most in those post-game settings, by the way, with credentialed access, typically meet that requirement, right, of a beat reporter or a journalist or a media personality, you name it. And it's not even an unwritten rule. There is a written rule that you have a level of objectivity and you don't fan, if you will, in that kind of environment. The journalistic community went nuclear on this. And I mean like next level nuclear, having utter meltdowns across the industry tenfold because of Lynn essentially sharing that kind of sentiment instead of asking a legit, in their mind. And I think you know where I'm going. I think you guys might be surprised where I'm going here. Because while I've tried to, based on my background, based on my experience and how I've come up, not only in the journalistic field, but more along the lines of the broadcasting field. And a lot of what I try to do on a daily basis, whether it be in the vault or in this channel, is be that objective guy, right? Where there is no fandom attached to my commentary. And to some of you, it comes across as contrarian-like. To some of you, it comes across as hater-like. To some of you, it comes across as agenda-driven. But I humbly and genuinely tell you all the time from the rooftops, I scream it, that it is simply just me being me and how I've been groomed and built coming up in this business over the last, decade plus. So you'd think that I would have an issue with the way that Lynn handled herself. To be honest with you, in today's world, the 27 seconds that it took, given the news cycle at this current state where we sit outside of sports, how toxic things are and can be. I actually thought it was kind of a breath of fresh air, and I reposted it and restoried it. And guess what? Maybe the best part of all, she stood 10 toes down. She went on local TV in Jacksonville today and said, "Nah, I'm standing on 11 toes down, folks."
Subscriptions going up for the Jacksonville Free Press.
Yes.
I mean, did you know this was going to throw you into the spotlight?
I did not. I really did not. I mean, it was a typical day. Go to the press box, and it was just an overwhelming day. I can tell you that this entire city, this town, our team, our city, and our coach, we were overwhelmed. I mean, and I really was not going to attend the press conference, but I left out. I was talking to a young man. I'm sure he know who he is, 23-year-old young man. We're just talking about the game. I'm telling him I'm from Michigan, this and that, and I'm giving him some words. He said, "Ma'am," he said, "you need to go ahead and go attend the press conference." So I went back, I went down, went through how we maneuvered through, and I sat there, and everyone was back there, and then Coach, word up, Coach. So Coach came out, and his emotions, he was totally immersed, his feelings. He had tears, he bit his lip. And the issue is the question, not necessarily a question in the fourth quarter, in the fourth down, and the punt came through.
Right.
But my question was, keep your head up, young man. Yeah. Young man, this entire year, we have rooted for this team over more than 30 years. Do you understand what I'm saying? The stadium, the solemnness, we were rooting, I mean, it was packed. So he was like, "Yes, ma'am, thank you." So now I'm the new grandma.
Probably needed to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new auntie and...
So, Lynn, I do want to bring out, because this also has a lot of mixed emotions and how people are responding to this.
Yes.
So Adam Schefter wrote, "This is an awesome post-game exchange between a reporter and Jags head coach." But then Mark Long, who's an AP reporter, kind of went in on this.
Yes.
And he said nothing awesome about this, called you fake media, said that you shouldn't even have been up there asking those kind of questions. So when you heard that, how did that make you feel?
I don't take no offense to it. Listen, I've been in this business more than 25 years. I've interviewed from Barack Obama to Terry Bradshaw to, what's my guy named Tiger Woods. So he can say whatever he wants about fake news. I am a member of the Black Press, NNPA, the National Newspaper Association, that's been around more than 100 years. I'm the associate editor of the Jacksonville Free Press, one of the more than 230 African-American newspapers still printing in this country today. In Jacksonville, you had the Florida Star since 1955. We've been around since 1986. In Philadelphia, the Philly Tribune has been printing since 1884. In my hometown of Detroit, the Michigan Chronicle has been printing since 1935. So support the Black Press. So you can call me fake all you want to, honey. I've been doing this a long time.
Let me tell you something.
People know me. Yes, sir.
My cousin Lance, they're big Packers fans. They came down last year for
not
Jags.
the Packers. I'm from Detroit.
Listen.
Go ahead.
So they are converts, and my cousin Lance was like, "Tell her this morning that I love her, and tell her to say that it's going to be all right."
It's going to be all right. Keep your head up.
All right.
Young men, all you young men, keep your head up.
Keep your head.
All right. I know that's nothing related to Ravens content, but I couldn't help but share. We were talking about Jacksonville. I don't even know how I got on that conversation. Oh, coaching matters. Liam Cohen, look at the turnaround in Jacksonville, man. Found something in Trevor Lawrence this season. Yeah, one and done in the playoffs, but they're built. They're built to last. New England, Mike Vrabel, Tennessee, really letting him go? New England, on to the divisional round. Ben Johnson, on to the divisional round. And did he say something? Fuck the Packers. That was Brian Billick like right there with the Titans back in the day. You got to love you some Ben Johnson if you like competitive fire. And perhaps that's not the Steve Bisciotti vision or the Steve Bisciotti candidate, right? Somebody that a little controversial. We all saw the handshake with LaFleur post-game. We saw that insane locker room address, post-game address. But, bottom line is I just wanted to throw my take out there that, one, you don't need to respond to everything. I think when you have a microphone like we do in front of you every single day, for the most part, all year round, it's easy to feel like you have an obligation or you're required to respond to every single viral moment, every single take. And I'm trying to do better and better as the emotional intelligence, hopefully, continues to go north and improve for me as a human. That why can't two things be true? By definition, yeah, there's a time for that. And it's probably not in that setting. And it was a really sweet, heartfelt moment that took the internet by storm and made a lot of people smile. Like, can it be as simple as that? Like, check true, and move on? Instead of this like hate and vitriol, like it's turned into this awesome, kind moment that was 27 seconds out of Liam's day and out of the fellow beat reporter community's day that sat in that room alongside her as her peers. Like, why has it been blown up into this national story? So that's what I'll have to say on that. KP says, big leap hurts to Lamar for AJ. He'll be in heaven. Can you imagine Lamar and AJ Brown suiting up on the same offense? Connor Griffith says, what are your thoughts on all the draft picks we have? Should we use all of them or trade someone to get an elite player like Crosby? Yeah, Max is available. Now, he had an offseason surgery, so you got to check in on the medical. Not getting any younger, but he's still a player that I don't know if he's in the prime window. How old is Max now at this point? He's creeping up there at 30, isn't he? Or right around that number? 28. So he'll turn 29 in August. So this will be his 29th season once September rolls around. So, he's creeping up on 30. So maybe not in like the heart of his prime, but perhaps still within that window, the back end of your prime, if you will, still playing at a game record type of level. I certainly would put a package together and be calling up Vegas and the new ownership, or not ownership, but the new staff that they're putting together. No doubt. Brady's in that building. I'm not sure if Tom's going to let Max walk, but they're nowhere near competing unless Fernando Mendoza ends up being drafted there and takes the NFL by storm like he's doing in Indiana. Kobe writes, Harbs had a habit of hiring coordinators that were too old or too green to realistically threaten his job. Mac was too close for comfort for him. What do you mean by that? Like Mike was a hire. I don't know what you mean by that. Mac was too close for comfort for him. I'm not sure what your point is, KP. I think he had a lot of success as a cultivator, if you will. Did Rodgers just throw a pick? So, by the way, when I was going through that whole Lynn Jones segment, Houston punched the first touchdown in the end zone of the day. Did Rodgers just throw a pick? Oh, no, they're punting. Okay, I got the TV across the way. 7 minutes and change left in this first half. Pittsburgh's punting. They do so cleanly. It's 7-3 Houston and some decent field position. No, that's a pretty good bounce in Pittsburgh's favor. So Houston will start at their own 18 or 19. So anyway, KP, I'm not sure what the end of this means, though. Mac was too close for comfort for him. Kobe also writes, you haven't been loved until you get anti-love. Anti-Lynn. Just like my Uber driver the other day. Those of you saw my Instagram story. That was quite the Uber, let me tell you. Never forget it. A collect call comes in from her brother who's serving life, I would think, 25 to life. I don't know what it is, but some legit charges in an Orlando prison cell. Gets one opportunity to call for free. So it wasn't a collect call. It was one of his one and only free calls on a Monday for like, I think 6 or 7 minutes, or maybe it was like 4 or 5 minutes. And I'm in the Uber, my first Uber here in the area. I'm pretty new to St. Pete. And she looks at me and she's like, can I take this? And she tells me like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, sure. Well, next thing I know, I'm involved in the conversation because it was on speakerphone. Never forget that. Connor Griffith, welcome to Trosseteer membership. I haven't updated that yet on the back end, but I will. So for now, welcome to Bobby Baltimorean membership. Appreciate you for being here. And I appreciate everybody else for spending some time with me tonight. Obviously, we're watching closely this Pittsburgh-Houston wildcard game at Acrisure. Let's go to the guest line, shall we? By the way, meanwhile, Evan says, do you think that Nnamdi Madubuike, the clarity around his future comes tomorrow? I think it'll be asked. I'm not sitting here convinced that they'll be willing to indulge, that they'll be willing to open up about that. And it would not surprise me that if one of our takeaways tomorrow, when we go live immediately after, and I'm talking about the Bisciotti DaCosta press conference, is that they were tight-lipped in some cases. It would not surprise me at all. It's great that they're having the press conference. I don't think we can sit here and be naive. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. I'm a wreck tonight, man. Oh. At least it's not Chinese aftermath. I know that. What was I saying? Yeah. In terms of just how accessible they'll be, let's call it, how transparent they'll be moving forward. Like, just because they're holding a press conference doesn't mean that it's going to be a tell-all, right? To the guest lines we go. What's up, Nick? Good to see you, brother.
What's up, Bobby? Hey, I wanted to clarify something earlier when I did that super chat, because Coach Brown, he had a couple takes. I don't, he's kind of like one of those you take and give, with the attitude that he comes across at times. But he had some insight on supposedly the hardball firing and all that stuff, and supposedly he allegedly was told a bunch of stuff, and he said that Todd was basically trying to save face, so he can get another job in the NFL, which I don't really want to believe, because I feel like Todd tries to take it like, he tries to be up straight, and it's just one of those things where it's like, what do you believe? Because, like, according to Coach Brown, he said that, Lamar just didn't want to practice on Wednesdays, and a bunch of slander that I kind of don't like, but it's like, what's the truth? And I feel like it's just one of those things we're never gonna really know, until, like, maybe after Lamar's retired and all that. But I just want to know, like, uh, I'm hoping that you could ask Todd, like, maybe like a little bit more detail of, hey, like, did you not talk to each other for 4 months? Because, to me, like, if that's what's being thrown out there, I hate, don't want to spread no rumors or anything, but that's what allegedly was said. Uh, to me, that's not cool, because supposedly Cliff Kingsbury had the same issue with Kyler Murray in Arizona. That's what Coach Brown was saying. So it was a very interesting clip. I watched that. I watched the one with Sean King, and also with Jason Whitlock. So, take a look at it. Let me know your opinion on that. But
Yeah, I'll give you some perspective right now. So first of
yeah.
all, CJ Stroud just fumbled again.
Oh,
All right. So Pittsburgh now with great field position, and CJ's having a tough night in terms of ball security, and Danielle Hunter is getting after this Steelers offensive line right now, or excuse me, this Danielle Hunter is, well, you know what I mean. There's a lot
yeah,
happening
he's
right now.
beast.
Houston's defense is rolling, but CJ's not helping himself at all. And we'll see if Pittsburgh, like, it might be the first to like 20 tonight with over 5 minutes to go here. Already 3rd and 14 quickly. I mean, it was a turnover, but quickly
Yeah,
here,
I see
Rodgers
it.
already looking at 3rd and long. So let's see what this offense can do. Look, here's where I'm at on the whole. I had a chance to talk to Todd for about 20, 25 minutes on Thursday night.
Yes.
And my big takeaway from him is that while he had a tremendous experience and a very good one over 3 years, I think that there were multiple people in that building that felt like things had run its course, and that this could not be run back structure-wise, staff-wise, the way that it has been the last several seasons. And there's certainly a level of frustration with Lamar's unavailability. What staff wouldn't be frustrated with their quarterback not being able to practice for at least a day, for 6-7 weeks, whatever that ended up being? In some ways, to no fault of his own, right? Had a slew of lower body injuries, including a nasty back contusion that really forced him into being one-dimensional at times. And when you don't have that escape valve, which is your legs, at least to the degree of what we've all grown accustomed to seeing now for 8 years, it hampers a player. And you're trying to essentially learn, how to be effective to the nth degree without that main superpower of yours. And we know that he's capable of beating you and slicing and dicing you through the air and with his arm. We've seen that for years now. But it changes the way defenses play you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, look, a lot of this is magnified when you lose. A lot of this is magnified when you're banged up. They were on both sides of the ball. I think Todd is absolutely, there's a level of this that you have to be political when you're behind the mic. You have to play that game.
Yeah.
And he's been playing that game for a long time, and he understands what it's like to be a pro and how you handle interviews and how you ultimately look yourself in the mirror first and hold yourself accountable first. And I think that's what makes him such a refreshing listen. It's what led him to having a lot of success over the last 3 seasons. But look, Lamar and his camp, whether it be the Lamar Jackson Entertainment Twitter account, who certainly has been spending the last several days refuting a lot of these reports. They have a right to do that, and they have a right to protect Lamar and answer and speak for Lamar. But I think there's also been a lot of smoke out there that indicates and suggests that it wasn't the best duo ever, and change was necessary. And so I think Todd's going to go on and probably end up, I would think, unless he gets a head coaching opportunity this cycle, I wouldn't be surprised if he and Harbaugh end up in New York with the Giants. And I wish him well. And I think he's ready for something new. And he accomplished a lot of great things over his last 3 years. Certainly not absolved of what happened this year in the red zone. They fell off a cliff. They were deficient. They did not move the ball. They abandoned their identity at times. They kept Keaton Mitchell down for the first month of the season. And, quite frankly, they weren't able to get the litany of playmakers that they have involved enough. That includes DeAndre Hopkins, who I know isn't what he once was, but there's a reason why Harbaugh is coming out and saying things like a couple weeks before the regular season finale when he was asked about it on a Monday press conference, like, we got to get DeAndre more involved. And there's a reason why those anonymous hit pieces came out around the bye. When you piece all this together, they couldn't run this back.
No.
And ultimately, Steve Bisciotti made a decision that they couldn't run it back at the top. And now he has to live with that decision. There's going to be a level of risk attached with that kind of change.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, just maybe, the ultimate reward of that calculated risk will outweigh the latter.
Well, here's the thing, Bobby. I feel like and I said this before the season started on y'all's podcast and stuff on the super chat. I was scared of the D-line depth. I didn't think we had it good enough. I didn't think the old line was going to regress like that, especially the guards. I really did not think it was going to regress. I thought, Falele was taking the right steps, got in shape and everything like that. I feel like maybe it was just a teaching thing, with O-line, me being an O-line person myself, and everything like that. And to me, like, I don't want to believe all the slander of Lamar, but Lamar, what's crazy is they try to say that Lamar doesn't take ownership, but he has. He's taken ownership. He's like, I need to play better. He said that after games and stuff like that. I just feel like next year, depending on who we get for, coaching wise, I hope it's Kubiak. I hope he brings in a strong defense coordinator. But we need to fix the trenches on both sides of the ball. We need to get more depth at certain key positions, because to me, that's what's lacking right now. And it's just one of those things, Bobby, where I hope we address it in the draft. I hope we don't trade back. I hope we actually trade up and get a impact player, like a Bane, like I've been preaching. I kind of hope we get a guard like Inez Cooper. Watch number 73 on Monday night. Next Monday night, you watch him. He's kind of like a Larry Allen type of guy. I don't want to, put big expectations like that, but he can move for a big guy, and he's just a road grader. It's just one of those things where it's like we need to address the trenches. I'm tired of drafting guys that are supposed to be projects that we gotta wait 3 years. Our owner says, I don't have time to wait 30 years from now. I want to win now.
Oh,
And
we
that's
all
what I want
remember
to
that
do.
clip. How could you forget that clip from the offseason, boy? If we knew then what we know now, wouldn't that be something to listen to that? Nick, I see you with that flag in the background. You
Hey,
enjoy next week.
hey,
Appreciate the
listen,
call tonight, brother.
listen. The U, baby, the U is all about the U. And I'm going to tell you right now, Bobby. I think Harv's might be going to Atlanta, just because I feel like he'll be able to pick his own GM. But if the Packers job opens up, how surprised would you be if he goes there?
Well, it looks like they're going to try and get a deal done there as of this morning. So, but obviously you go to Green Bay if that opens up. Jordan Love is the guy. So
it's either that or Philly. If Philly opens up, I mean,
listen, Philly will be full circle for John.
yes.
But given the state of them right now, I know they win a lot of games, but that is a toxic situation in Philadelphia. It's great to see you, brother.
Too.
Good luck next week, man.
Great
call. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Couple super chats have come in, by the way. So CJ Stroud's playing well aside from two massive mistakes, two fumbles lost. Houston's defense is a problem. CJ's struggling a little bit in terms of his polish. And this is going to be a defensive affair tonight. It is 7-3 right now, under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Houston leads Pittsburgh 7-6. So that's what's going on there. Kobe writes, on Earth 2, Ravens hire Tomlin after he's fired. Oh, you imagine if Tomlin's let go tomorrow? They go 19 and 18 years respectively, and they're both let go within like 7 days of one another. Who would have had that? Connor Griffith writes, I've been around since the 5 a.m. morning vault. Not sure why it took me this long to become a member, but keep up the good work, brother. Connor, thank you for your membership. We appreciate you for being one of our OGs. You're the man. EB hit me with a chat earlier on. He said, very much disappointed about today's Vault live stream. And so let me just remind everyone, as I did at the top of the show, that there was something that happened that glitched on the back end of YouTube. I don't know what the hell it was, but 120 minutes worth of content was condensed into 4 seconds. So I re-uploaded everything as a pre-recorded episode that dropped an hour ago, just in case you were wondering what the hell happened. Very frustrating. That's why I was behind and late tonight, just to be clear on that. And I have time for Roderick 9 full before I get back to the guest lines. You know what I mean when I say I have time. You know what I mean on that, I think, you guys that watch this regularly. So, Roderick, let's have a chat here for a second. Roderick says, saying Lamar's legs is what makes him special is like saying Shaq's size is what made him special. All the greats in every sport have a superpower. Dumb, with the eye roll emojis. Well, I'm about to roll all over you, Roderick, right now. Pause. You want to know why, Roderick? Because here's why. Nobody said that. So saying what you just said is pretty funny because it's a roundabout way of saying, I'm going to put some words in Bobby's mouth tonight, hope that I can just kind of rip them and throw this defamatory, fake, or manufactured shit into the live chat. And maybe because he's on 2 Celsiuses, he's running on burning midnight oil for 8 days running. Maybe, just maybe, he won't see it. Tough luck, I saw it. Nobody's saying that. When it comes to Lamar, the lack of the superpower was not having his legs at full strength. That's not to say that he can't still carve the shit out of you up and this cold-ass take through the air, because he's proven that. His track record states that he can still do that. But when you take the lower body ability out of play, like it was through the majority of this season, he's a different player, and it changes the way a defense defends you and game plans for you. That's the point. Roderick, thank you for the time. Back to the guest lines we go. Appreciate you for being with me tonight. Over 1,700 concurrents and counting. Houston trying to convert on 3rd and 1. Did they? Oh, yes, they did. Plenty to go, trying to get some points in what's been a very, very defensive-minded first half. All right, on to Russell. I know he'll have something to say tonight. Great to see you, brother. What's going on, man?
Hey, you funny, haha.
What you got for us tonight, Russell?
Knucklehead, that other idiot is. Hey, much at him at a BK tomorrow's press conference just because of HIPAA rules and how respectful they player that does that. I'm gonna say one thing about Trosseteer, dude. It sounds like Mouseketeer. Okay.
You don't like it?
I think there's something better.
All right. Well, Joe Jenkins is somewhere. He's just perked up at your hot take here. He's gonna have something to say about that, isn't he?
Hey, forget about it. So, look, I was driving all day. By the way, your freaking cast. Anybody that missed it, go get it, watch it. It was long, but it was so well worth it. Great vault today.
And did you hear? Let me just continue to tease this, just in case folks have missed it. There was something that happened on the back end, which condensed 2 hours of content in the YouTube space. It was unaffected in the audio only space, but it went from 2 hours to 4 seconds on the back end of YouTube. So I re-uploaded it tonight, an hour ago or so. And it's just up there as a standalone video in the non-live stream section. So apologies there. That's what happened earlier. If you missed it and you went to go find it and you found a 4-second show, just know it's up there now in full. So go ahead, Russ.
And it's good to go see it before tomorrow's show so you can stay right in rhythm. I was also in Graven today, and your buddy over there. And it was interesting to hear his take on what he's getting back. That Bisciotti ultimately making business decisions. People weren't showing up. He was investigating on his own. He was talking to players. Bisciotti we trust, like what we used to say about Ozzie. And Bisciotti does not do things on a whim. This was a hard decision, but bottom line, this was a business decision also. All the people that were lost, all the tickets, that stadium was empty this year towards the second half.
Yeah.
And had to do something. And I also heard that on Engraven that he did not meet on Monday with head coach. Only the head coach sat down with Ozzie, the GM, and Sashi, and then he made that decision without ever speaking with him. So I think that as much as I loved Harbaugh, it was time for a change, like we all have. Your partner there at noon, she was right. We needed a change. I think he just got too comfortable, but I think we should also consider, who did Bisciotti reach out to? What players did he reach out to? I can only think he reached out to some of the leaders, including Lamar, probably Zero, in the back end, maybe Marlon, some of your senior leadership. And I think ultimately he knew what was best for the business and for the fans.
Yeah, you make a couple good points there in terms of what maybe hasn't been microanalyzed enough, and that is the business side of things. There's obviously credible reporting out there from Rossini and Zaribek, and there will be a lot of questions asked to get more answers tomorrow. We may not end up with all the answers that we're looking for, but there may have been a disconnect between Harbs and some of the younger guard, in Baltimore with the player and personnel staff. So that's a part of it as well. But knowing that when they were staring 1-5 in the face, and even in the midst of their 5-game win streak, some of which was without Lamar, you kind of asked yourself, like, why aren't people showing up to the bank? And I think that it was pretty obvious why that was the case. There was a belief within the fan base, right or for wrong, that product that was being displayed wasn't worth their money, wasn't worth their hard-earned Sunday off. Yep. Wasn't worth whatever else dictated, whatever else was out there on a fall Sunday in Baltimore. And they made a business decision themselves, forcing, in some cases, and to some degree, Steve to make his own business decision several months later, which is ultimately what happened a week ago tomorrow around 5:00. Hard to believe that it's been a week since all this went down. It's great to see you, brother. Thank you so much for the call tonight. Later, Russell. What's up, Dre Dog? Good to see you, brother. Outside of
What?
wait a second here. I need a full, not forget a 30-second timeout. I need a full timeout on the floor. Gentlemen, you can sit down at your respective timeouts. My man is out of the car. He's not outside. He's inside. What's up, brother?
Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, man. My son had basketball practice today, so I kind of chilled out for the day.
Good to see
but I just wanted to tell you, man, I'm proud of you, man. Great job last week. I could tell sometime you was a little bit flustered. You was a little bit you was feeling it a little bit, but you got through it and you did a great job, bro. So I'm proud of you, man.
Without me losing my mind in some cases or being pushed to the brink, would it be a live stream solo? I mean, it just
no. You did good though. You did good.
Appreciate
but
you.
Look,
what's
man, go ahead, say again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's going on tonight? What you got?
Yo, so coaching search. For me, I definitely would love a defensive kind of mind to come in. But there also has to be a philosophy change. One of the reasons why I like Brian Flores is he has a scouting background. I think we need a head coach that is not only going to give us the X's and O's, but know player, personnel, and development. Brian Flores, to me, he's probably one of the higher end coaches or potential coaches that can give us that. Because with all due respect to EDC, you know, I've had a whole rant about EDC and some of his not always drafting the way we should, or taking unnecessary risks. Yeah, a lot of misses, man. A lot of misses, especially when it comes to pass rush. Wide receiver, we got Zay. So, what you looking at? What you see? I don't got the game on.
I'm sorry, but that was just CJ just put himself what do they call it? A medicine ball or a hospital ball out for one of his receivers. And again, this is across the way, so I can't see who just laid this hit stick down, this clean hit stick. Who was that Pittsburgh DB? Oh, that was big time. Who was that?
Look at your face, bro.
Who was that? Oh, my goodness.
Bobby, you need glasses, bro.
Well, no, but the angle, and I got my ring light at me. Who is that? Peyton Wilson. Oh, that was some old school stuff right there. If you love football, woo, baby. Peyton, and remember, not to twist the knife in the arm here.
Yeah.
Peyton was the one that wrestled one of those four
interceptions
that wouldn't have been from Justice Hill last year. That was him, and I think he was a rookie at the time. That's a big time play from him. And again, this has nothing to do with who's playing. I'm just talking about from a fandom standpoint in terms of the game of football.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a play. Anyway, sorry about that, Dre.
But yeah, I was just saying Flores for me kind of checks a couple of boxes as far as the scouting box and the coaching box. Yeah. I think his schemes alone. Did you see the All 22? It's an hour long video that All 22 did on Brian Flores' scheme. If you got the time to watch it, you already know what he does, how he breaks it down.
Coach Coleman, you said. I didn't see that he
yes,
put something
sir.
up. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's an hour long breaking down Brian Flores' scheme. An hour.
Okay.
So it's special, man. It's what Flores does is very special on a defensive end with guys like I know we kind of rag on Roquan a little bit. I think Roquan was a victim of circumstances. You're dealing with a scheme that was suspect. They really had no idea who to put next to him. I think when Teddy Buchanan was out there, we saw a lot of the deficiencies that Roquan had kind of go away from some games. I mean, I think one game he had like 15 tackles or something like that. So
Cleveland game, he was AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, it's going to take a mind in my opinion, like Brian Flores to come in here to unlock those Travis Jones, Kyle Hamilton's already unlocked, but keep and maintain him as a wild card joker out on that field. Looking at Brian Flores' scheme, a lot of that off coverage and all of that mess, you ain't seeing a lot of that. You ain't seeing a lot of that. He's putting guys in position and he's saying, look, don't get beat. I'm going to send some blitz. Don't get beat. So yeah, man. And as far as Harbaugh, I think it is bittersweet on Harbaugh seeing him go. But it was time. Steve Bisciotti a little bit gangster. If we've heard so many different things, but if he really did dismiss that man from his job over the phone, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of crazy. That's a bit of a gangster move. I know a lot of people like, man, that's messed up. That's petty. Why would he do that? Shit, if my job let me go, I'd rather them call me while I'm home so I can save my gas. Shit. So I ain't got to come up in there and like, save my gas because I'm gonna be pissed off. I come all the way to work and then you let me go. Nah, go ahead and call me while I'm home so I can go do something else, man. You know what I'm saying? So
you are too much.
But yeah, bro, I appreciate you as always, bro. Thanks for letting me get in here, and I'm proud of you. And we need to get together. I need to get your address. I need to send you a care package. I want to get you some vitamins. I want to get you a nice cologne and a couple of other things, bro. Because I need you to get this dating thing right, bro. I need you to get this dating thing right.
If Shelly's my auntie, I got my uncle right here, baby, and he's South Carolina's finest. You and I will
connect. You already know.
Man, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Later, brother. Thanks for the kind words. And you're looking at the end of the first half. It's 7-6, baby. Come on. 7-6. Couple CJ Stroud first half turnovers. One Texans touchdown, courtesy of Christian Kirk, and a pass from CJ. Pittsburgh struggling to run the ball, just 24 total yards. Aaron, pretty pedestrian first half through the air, 9 for 15, 79 yards. He was sacked once. This is a Houston defense that is legit, and I think you can see what it means to have a legitimate pass rush. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow. Speaking of pass rush, speaking of a guy that was the head of the defense this year, somewhat of a surprising report on Zach Orr. He's going to get a look as the Cowboys look for a Matt Eberflus replacement. They're scheduled to interview Jonathan Gannon for their open position, their vacancy. He was let go by Arizona within the last week or so. And Zach will also get a look. So good for him. Good for him. Obviously, his first 2 years as a play caller, underwhelming, not the best resume ever to go into an interview with. But I think we can all agree at 32, 33, Zach's career is just getting started. He deserves another chance. Perhaps it won't be as a play caller, his next opportunity. Maybe he goes back to being a position coach. Heck, depending on the staff that comes into Baltimore, maybe he comes back and serves as a position coach under whoever the defensive coordinator ends up becoming. But I know one thing. I wish Zach the best moving forward. He's a good sport. He's a hell of a competitor. He's respected within that player community aside from Eddie Jackson. And I hope that he can figure it out moving forward. His career ended far too early. And I know I was talking to Jimmy the other day, as you guys probably heard, and he's like, if that injury never took place, like that serious career-ending injury, who's to say that he wouldn't still be playing at a high level somewhere in the National Football League? So best wishes to Zach. Dallas is going to get a look at him and maybe already has in terms of when the timing of that is. And if you are just tuning in, tonight's whole show has been about the candidate number that the Ravens are now up to, which is 15, with the latest becoming Jim Schwartz, who's been requested. He served as Cleveland's defensive coordinator the last several years under Kevin Stefanski. Back to the guest lines we go. Guys, if you could, it's coming up on, I got a 6 a.m. workout scheduled for tomorrow. We're coming up on 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I'd like to at least catch part of this third quarter before I drift off. So if you could be close, to be honest with you, I don't know what happened to my 60-second timer. And if you're just tuning in, it's been kind of a slog tonight's show. I was late. There was a YouTube glitch on the back end. I then had to go and compete with ESPN and Monday Night Football. I should have had this show on well earlier, so apologies. And now the 60-second timer that I usually have queued up, maybe this will be to your liking. Now I can't find it within my video section. So you're going to have to honor it 60 seconds to the best of your ability. Yeah, Troy says you don't need no timer. Says who, Troy? Huh? Who's calling the shots around here, Troy? Wes, welcome back to the program, brother. Good to see you.
You don't need a timer. You don't follow that fucking thing anyway. It's just there for looks, man. It doesn't do a goddamn thing.
Certainly tonight I have not. That is true.
Nah, I'm one thing about this head coach search that we're on is I think there's several good names. There's none that really stand out. It's not like last year where there's a Ben Johnson or a Mike McDonald a couple years ago, but I think like I'm going to be happy with several of them regardless of who we get, like whether it's Sala or Minter or Flores or Kubiak. I mean, there's several names on there that I'm like, fuck it, let's go. I think just having the change is the excitement. Like there's something new. Like we knew what we get out of Harbaugh's teams. What are we going to get out of this, right? Like let's go into preseason. We have high expectations, but we don't know what's coming.
Yeah,
for better or for worse, but at least there's something to like get up for.
There's an entirely new program coming in. They might be practicing at different times. The offseason program might look different. There's going to be new regiments, new media access, new everything. I mean, for all we know, something as simple as like there's a lot of coaches around the league who do Monday morning hits on local radio or the vault or, things like that. Like, who's to say that won't open up this whole new level of opportunity? Now, Steve, of course, will want to keep, I'm sure, some things consistent with the way that he'd like his organization run. But I'm with you. And that's why I think 8 days ago is such an afterthought. 8 days ago feels as if it's 8 months ago because of change not being on the horizon, change being here now and on deck, like if not at bat. And that's what they've been taking, the Ravens. They've been taking at bats the last several days. And they're about to take 15 total at bats, apparently, when it's all said and done in terms of candidates, which they're now at. Did we just lose Wes? Are you with us?
Can you see me now?
Get your final thought in here, brother.
I think it'll also be it'll be interesting to see more on the back end of the team since Harbaugh's gone. How much control did he actually have that the new coach is going to get? How much goes back to EDC as far as like personnel drafting? If we start seeing different trends with like how we draft and what positions and where we're really focusing on, whether in trades, free agency, whatever, I think that'll be interesting to see too, kind of the different philosophy, the different mindset that the team has moving forward. Because like you said, it's completely different program, completely different culture moving forward.
The whole offseason just became literally night and day, from status quo to no idea, zero expectations. And to your point, like you started off the call, that is exciting and encouraging moving forward. Thanks, brother.
Fun stuff. See you, man.
Later, Wes. Appreciate you. Maurice, come on in, brother. Thanks for holding as you have for a while now. What's going on?
All right. Well, Bobby, if one thing is guaranteed, it is this: death, taxes, and your job security being at risk. That seemed to be the case with John Harbaugh. And I would like to touch on the business decision, a much needed business decision that was made by Steve Bisciotti. It's like everybody's been saying this since 2017, 2018. It's like we're in need of a coaching change as well as a philosophy change. It's like I've said it countless times. For John Harbaugh, the writing on the wall has always been there. So Steve Bisciotti did the right thing. He even said it himself. It's like he doesn't give a rat's ass about the future. He wants to win now. And it all starts with getting a whole new coaching staff. So I'm on board with, either Brian Flores or Robert Saleh. And like I said before, we most definitely need a defensive-minded coach because, if memory serves correctly, we haven't really had a defensive-minded coach since, Rex Ryan, Marvin Lewis. Perhaps we should go back to those roots. We really do need a defensive-minded coach who can be a little harsh on their players, but for a good reason. They want what's best for their defensive players. I mean, if you look back at the Ravens defense, like under Marvin Lewis, it's like you look across the board on the entire defensive unit, from the defensive line to the linebackers, the secondary, even the rotational guys, they played lights out, because with Marvin Lewis, he always had his guys prepared week in and week out. So with this Ravens defense going into 2026, we most definitely need that style of coaching with a defensive mind, because I know for a fact, and this has been a part of the team's identity for the last 30 years, stout defense, fundamentally sound. And like I said before, this can take this team as far as they want to go. And, I stand 10 toes down on my thoughts on that. So a defensive-minded coach, it can take us a long way. And if we took a chance on Brian Billick, who was an offensive-minded coach, and we took a chance on a special teams coach and John Harbaugh, so the question is, why not the likes of Brian Flores? Why not the likes of Robert Saleh? And some people will also say, why not Anthony Weaver? But, that's neither here nor there. But that's where I stand on this whole thing.
The comments that you referenced at the top, I think, are always deserving of a repeat. And that was this sit-down that Garrett Downing conducted back in the offseason with team owner Steve Bisciotti, head coach John Harbaugh. And it's certainly, again, if we knew what we now know, if we knew then what we now know today, boy, would these comments have been even more fascinating than they are right now. Listen to this.
For the next 30 years of Baltimore Ravens football.
I want to win now.
Right.
I don't give a damn about 30 years from now. I really don't. I want to win now. I want to win with these guys.
All we're really thinking about
is championships.
Yeah, we weren't talking about any of this other stuff.
We're pissed.
We're talking about let's get this done.
Yeah. Can we build an offense around Lamar? Well, that's the question. It's like, well, you can if you do it right.
To make that decision at the time, it was considered a risk.
I don't even look at it as a risk, really. I don't like that word, because if it failed, we failed. It wasn't that Lamar failed.
It's a matter of when, not if, he wins that Super Bowl. How badly, I guess, do you want it for Lamar?
Can't even put it into words. Can't even express it. It's like so deep. It's so deep inside. Such a desire, just such a determination to get it done. For really, you're right, for Lamar, for all the guys. I mean, every single person in that locker room.
Look, however you slice it, I don't know how much we're going to learn tomorrow, but it is going to be must-see stuff. 2:00 tomorrow. I will be going live as soon as I can compile up everything. You guys are going to be bitching in the live chat. I know you will. Where's he at? Where's he at when I inevitably am late? Because we're literally going to be clipping up every and all aspects of tomorrow's press conference. It's the first time that Steve will sit in that kind of setting since 2018. You can bet that we're going to be ready to go and talk about it all. Thanks for holding, brother. What are you expecting tomorrow ahead of this press conference? What are you realistically expecting?
I think he's going to be straight up on the Harbaugh decision. Maybe not so much on the details of the phone call, but more so like, hey, I was asking around. I asked my players. Yes, I asked Lamar. Maybe he's the player that was in Steve Bisciotti's house, saying, hey, it's like I said to my dad and my mom. It's like, you might be the greatest person ever, but you know what? On work, on the field, we just lost it. Like, we just lost it, and I cannot relate to you again on work. Maybe on a personal level and other things, family or kids, but on work, I just lost you, man. And so goodbye and great trip on the other side.
Yeah, and ultimately, maybe that's the reason why it had to be done over the phone because of the deep-rooted, deep-seated, close to 2 decades worth of a working relationship, a Super Bowl title, a lot of achievements, a lot of hardware. But in the end, what have you done for me lately? Not enough to continue to lift the Ravens standard in the direction that the expectations were and are set here moving forward with a perennial contender at MVP under center.
And I think it's showcased more so this year in the Buffalo loss, because how do you have your head coach telling your players they're not mature enough, they're not ready enough, throwing the blame around and not taking it on yourself, and then saying, I'm the head coach, I know they're immature. I know that they're not ready enough for this game or maybe have this position. It's my responsibility to see that it works. Or at least if it doesn't work, I can say, well, I tried, but I didn't do a good enough job. Put yourself out there.
Sure.
And that we never saw that from Harbaugh. And I think, as Nick and Robert and everybody else has said, it reflected on the stands. We were winning. Even though it was bad teams, but we were winning, but no stands failed. The faith on the franchise was at an all-time low. I think it was even lower than the losing season we had with Ray Lewis.
Maybe.
I'm not the 2015, but when Ray Lewis, what was it, 2005?
Oh God, it's going back well before.
I don't know. Chad can help us,
yeah.
But yes, it was at an all-time low.
Yeah,
and it's a reflection on that. And speaking quickly on the coaching thing, I want either Kubiak or Saleh. But you know what? Something tells me that whoever wins this weekend is going to get the head coaching job, and the other one is going to get the other position.
If there's one thing that's starting to become crystal clear, it's that this is not wrapping up anytime soon. This process, it's going to be an ongoing one, particularly given the potential, as you're just suggesting, that their guy is in the postseason, and maybe their guy's Jesse Minter, and maybe I'm wrong on that. But the way that the way it's feeling is as if this is going to be a drawn out, thorough, extensive process that could take up a good chunk of this January. So, brother, appreciate the call as always, man. Thank you for holding.
Hey, thank you.
Later, Mr. Mania. Mr. Mania. Dark Thunder 35 says a defensive head coach will make our offense play more conservative, which is needed. We have 16 turnovers in the playoffs in the Lamar era. Wow. That's insane. And again, teams that are creating turnovers so far in the postseason, not saying anything groundbreaking, are having success. And maybe Pittsburgh ends up winning tonight with some of the success that they're having in turning CJ Stroud over. EB, bring us home, brother. Bring us home. Bring us home.
In the physical paper, you had to have money. Like, you had to have, the money was in an envelope.
What the hell? What's going on over there, EB?
You hear me?
What the hell's going on over there, EB?
Oh, I'd rather not get into all that, Bobby. Let's stick
sweet Jesus. We finally found her, baby. Come on, put her on the camera.
First, I'm actually disappointed in the vote earlier today. I can't believe you and Sarah is still backing the PR candidate, but I'm gonna just leave that at that. I don't agree with Jesse Mentor. We need to steer away from the Harbaugh tree completely. No, we don't need John Horrible 2.0, 2.5. No, we need to start completely fresh. So my top 3 picks will still be Brian Flores, Clint Kubiak, and you know what? Forget 3rd and 4th. My top 2 is Brian Flores and Clint Kubiak. It don't even matter for us offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. We just need to get this done. I'm ready for the change. I'm ready for us to, you feel me, get this on and popping.
Here's the list if you want to choose a 3rd and 4th before we get you out of here. Excuse me.
Well, as an offensive coordinator, he's not on this list, but I'm definitely open to Mike McDaniels. I like his creativity and his offensive mindset. As far as a defensive
getting a bunch of looks. Mike is getting a bunch of looks. Would not surprise me if he gets another chance to be a head coach this cycle. So we'll see, brother. Appreciate the call tonight, EB. Get yourself right out there, will you?
Yeah, I will. You do the same, Bobby.
You call me anytime you need me now, all right? Oh, you just cannot. File that under the you cannot make this shit up file, please. That will be perfectly labeled. Perfectly labeled. Guys, thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support of the program. my longest standing sponsor. That was one of my favorite calls. It really was. I don't even know if I can do this read right now, to be quite honest with you. That was absolutely exceptional. Guys, Preston Automotive Group, if you are in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle this year, treat yourself and work with Preston. Trosseteers, Bobby Baltimoreans, whatever the hell you want to call yourselves. Russell did not like Trosseteer, by the way. Joe Jenkins is going to have to take that up with him. You can cash in $500. It's a $500 credit towards a new or pre-owned vehicle if you let them know that I sent you. Any Baltimore area, DMV area location. And I'll list them off in just a bit in terms of where they are. Maybe near you, maybe right around the corner from you. And while you're there, if you buy 4 tires, you'll receive 50% off your alignment if you let them know that I sent you. You can contact them easily for more information by filling out this list right here or this little form easily. And here are all the different locations for you. Take your pick all throughout the DMV. I always tell you that when I'm in the Baltimore area, Preston Ford West off of Liberty Road is my go-to spot. And again, you want to go down and check out their available inventory section. Just know that at the current moment, 3,886 is what you have to choose from. And you can break things down by price, vehicle condition, year, make, location, dealership, body style. Take your pick. Did Pittsburgh just pick off CJ Stroud? I think they did. Let me go ahead and check. That sure looks like it's a clean pick from across the living room. Did CJ Stroud just turn the ball over a third time? Yes, he did. 3 turnovers, and with 10 minutes and 21 seconds left in the third quarter, early in the second half, Pittsburgh takes over, trailing Houston by 1. It's a third turnover by CJ Stroud, and you cannot do that in the postseason and expect to win games. But we'll see, because Pittsburgh offense hasn't exactly been high-flying tonight. So tough sledding for the Houston Texans and company offensively in terms of their polish. Oh, boy. I want to go watch the rest of this second half. Not really, because I have a 6 a.m. workout that I'm going to be dragging for. So I'm going to go. Shout out to you, Steve Loop, and the rest of the crew tonight. All of you who called in, I appreciate you guys. As always, I would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. If you haven't already done so, it's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. When you join, you get a shout out, and we have 1,147 members as of tonight, 3 minutes ago, when Daga, I don't know, 1,147 members and counting. Go join. We talk all kinds of sports all day long, and it is free. While you're at it, connect with me on Twitter. I've been very active on that platform as of late for obvious reasons, chronicling and contextualizing to the best of my ability everything that's taken place over the last week or so. You can also connect with me on Instagram this offseason at Bobby Baltimore. The O in Baltimore is a 0, just so you know. And what else do I have for you? If you'd like to donate to the program outside of the YouTube Super Chat feature, you can do so by finding me on Venmo or Cash App. Nothing is ever expected. Anything and everything, as I always tell you, is more than appreciated. So, Sarah and I will be live. Get ready for the trio, the trifecta that is back-to-back Tuesdays, wall-to-wall coverage. Here's what we have for you. 12 noon, The Vault. Sarah and I will be on. Again, if you're just tuning in and you were wondering what the hell happened, if you did not watch us live today and you noticed that there was a glitch with the live stream, just know that I re-uploaded that earlier. You can go check it out in our video upload section, not under the live streams. Just go to videos and it'll be there for you in full. I apologize for the inconvenience there. I will then go live the second, or as close to it, the second that the press conference held by Steve Bisciotti and Eric DaCosta wraps up. I'm going to collect my thoughts, gather as much as I possibly can content-wise, and then go live here inside this channel. And then, to cap off the day, Jeff Cole and I, as we always are, on Tuesday nights, inside the collective, be ready to go, 8 o'clock Eastern. So get ready for that. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group. Enjoy the rest of the second half. Pittsburgh's taking over deep in their own territory. We'll see what the Texans defense can do. Can they pin them? Can they get out of trouble? Can they get the ball back to CJ Stroud, who's struggling mightily tonight in terms of ball security? Enjoy it. Thank you guys, as always, for getting me through this live stream. It was a slog, and the last week has really been something else. And maybe, just maybe, is starting to lead to some fatigue, which means that I got to go get my ass to bed tonight. Thank you guys, as always. I appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon.